Every December, the world comes alive with the spirit of Christmas, a time of wonder and timeless traditions. Streets glow with twinkling lights, homes embrace the warmth of decorated trees, and the familiar image of Santa Claus appears everywhere. But behind the holiday cheer is a history shrouded in mystery, one that challenges the very essence of what we believe about Christmas. Have you ever wondered where these customs came from? Why do some Christians celebrate Christmas on December 25th, while others celebrate it on January 7th? And how did a Christian holy day, meant to commemorate the birth of a Savior, transform into a global secular festival of consumption and merrymaking? What if the glittering Christmas tree adorning your home traces its roots not to Christian faith, but to ancient pagan celebrations of nature's resilience? What if the figure of Santa Claus, with his jolly laugh and sack of gifts, was shaped by the deeds of a real-life saint? And what if the sacred date of December 25th, the day we revere as Christ's birthday, was borrowed from a pagan festival worshipping the unconquered sun, and commemorating cosmic celebrations of light and darkness? In this documentary, we'll explore how the evergreen trees used in the Yule festivals became the modern Christmas tree, how Saint Nicholas transformed into Santa Claus, and how the pagan Sol Invictus Festival influenced the most celebrated day of the year. And as a bonus, we've included the period Christmas was banned in England under Oliver Cromwell. Each story uncovers a fascinating layer of the past that has shaped the present. So get ready to reimagine everything you thought you knew about Christmas, because the truth might just shock you. This is Unmasking Christmas. The origins of Christmas take us far back to a period when the world was simpler, but darker, thousands of years ago, when the only light came from the sun, the moon, and fires. People relied on the sun to survive. It gave them warmth, light, and the power to grow crops. But every year, something very terrifying to these ancestors would occur. The days grew shorter, the nights became longer, and the sun seemed to weaken. For ancient people, this was a time of fear and hope, fear that the sun might disappear forever, and hope that it would return stronger than ever. This moment is called the winter solstice, and it happens around December 21st each year. It's the shortest day and the longest night of the year. To us it's just a date on the calendar, but to ancient civilizations, it was a turning point. After the winter solstice, the days would slowly start to get longer again, and the sun would grow stronger. For them this was proof that light would conquer darkness, life would overcome death, and the earth would renew itself once more. In Scandinavia, the Norse people celebrated the winter solstice with a festival called Yule. It was a time of great joy and celebration. Large logs, known as Yule logs, were set on fire in a grand ceremony. These logs were not just for warmth, they were symbols of the sun's strength and the hope for its return. The fires would burn for 12 days, and during this time, people feasted, told stories, and honored their gods Sol and Freyr. They believed that the evergreen trees, like fir and pine, were sacred because they stayed green and alive even during the harshest winters. These trees were decorated with offerings to the gods, such as small carvings or food, and brought into homes as a reminder of life and vitality. Similarly, the Celts of Britain and Ireland also held Yule celebrations. They believed in the magical power of evergreens, especially mistletoe and holly trees. Druids, who were Celtic priests, would gather mistletoe from oak trees during special ceremonies. To the Celts, mistletoe represented protection and fertility, while holly was a symbol of eternal life. These evergreens were hung in homes and sacred spaces to ward off evil spirits and bring good fortune. Families would gather around these symbols to share food and stories, bonding over their shared hope for brighter days ahead. Meanwhile, in ancient Rome, the winter solstice was celebrated with the festival of Saturnalia. This week-long event, dedicated to Saturn, the god of agriculture, was marked by feasting, gift-giving, and merrymaking. During Saturnalia, social rules were flipped, slaves dined with their masters, and everyone took part in games and dances. Homes were decorated with evergreen boughs as a nod to nature's resilience and the promise of spring. The Romans' love for greenery and celebration would later influence the Christmas traditions we know today. Over centuries, these various winter solstice traditions merged and evolved. The Norse custom of bringing evergreens into homes, the Celtic reverence for mistletoe and holly trees, and the Roman use of greenery all contributed to what would become the modern Christmas tree. By the 16th century, in Germany, people were decorating entire fir trees with apples, nuts, and candles during winter celebrations. A legend tells of Martin Luther, a German religious reformer, who was inspired by the beauty of starlight shining through evergreen branches and added candles to a tree in his home. Today, the Christmas tree stands as a symbol of life, hope, and continuity through the darkest season of the year. From the sacred mistletoe of the Druids to the grand Yule logs of the Norse, these ancient practices remind us that even in the coldest, darkest times, light and life will prevail. In the bustling streets of Patara, a small town in what is now Turkey, nearly 2,000 years ago, there was a boy named Nicholas, the only child of wealthy Christian parents. But Nicholas's life was not easy. Tragedy struck when he was still very young, as his parents fell ill and died during a plague, leaving him an orphan. With their passing, Nicholas inherited their vast fortune. But rather than keep it for himself, he chose to live a life of humility and generosity, guided by the teachings of his faith. The young Nicholas became known for his incredible kindness, often helping the poor in secret. One of the most famous stories tells of a desperate father with 3 daughters. In those days, a woman needed a dowry, a gift of money or property, to marry, and without one, these girls faced a grim future. Late one night, Nicholas crept to their home and tossed a bag of gold coins through the window, saving the eldest daughter from ruin. He repeated this act for the other daughters, and legend has it that one of the bags fell into a stocking drying by the fire, a detail that would later inspire Christmas stockings. Nicholas eventually became the Bishop of Myra, wearing the red robes and tall hat that now remind us of Santa's suit. He performed miracles, saved sailors from shipwrecks, and even confronted Emperor Diocletian's officials to defend Christians from persecution. After his death, Nicholas was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church, and his feast day, December 6th, was celebrated across Europe. Centuries later, Saint Nicholas became a central figure in the winter celebrations of Europe. In the Netherlands, he was known as Santa Claus, arriving on a white horse to deliver gifts to children. Santa Claus dressed in a bishop's robes, much like the historical Nicholas, and was accompanied by helpers who kept track of who had been naughty or nice. Children would leave their shoes by the fireplace, hoping for small presents like sweets or coins. When Dutch settlers arrived in America in the 17th century, they brought the legend of Santa Claus with them. Over time, the name transformed into Santa Claus, and the character began to change. In the early 1800s, American poet Clement Clarke Moore wrote "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which described Santa as a jolly, plump figure with a sleigh pulled by reindeer. This poem painted Santa as a magical being who traveled down chimneys to deliver gifts. By the late 1800s, Santa Claus had become a cultural icon in the United States. Artist Thomas Nast drew illustrations of Santa for Harper's Weekly, giving him the round belly, bushy beard, and red suit we know today. In the 1930s, Coca-Cola advertisements cemented this image, showing Santa as a cheerful, rosy-cheeked man spreading holiday cheer. From a humble bishop in Turkey to a global symbol of Christmas, St. Nicholas's transformation into Santa Claus is a story of faith, kindness, and generosity. Today, whether he's called Santa Claus, Père Noël, or Father Christmas, his spirit of generosity continues to inspire the world, connecting humanity through the magic of giving. What events or decisions led to December 25th being chosen as the birthday of Jesus? After all, the Bible doesn't specifically mention a date for the birth of Jesus. So why is this particular day so significant in the Christian calendar? Let's now explore the fascinating origin of Christmas Day. As Christianity spread across the Roman Empire, the early Christians also did not know the exact date of Christ's birth. The question of when exactly Jesus was born was not one that concerned these early Christians. In fact, for the first few centuries, the birth of Jesus wasn't widely celebrated at all. The focus was on his crucifixion and resurrection, the cornerstone of Christian faith. But as the Christian faith spread, there was a growing desire to mark the birth of Christ with a specific date. Then entered Sextus Julius Africanus, a Roman Christian historian and theologian. His work, The Annunciation Theory, would contribute to the foundation for the eventual establishment of Christmas on December 25th. Julius Africanus was an influential figure in early Christian scholarship. Born in North Africa, he became known for his writings on chronology. Julius Africanus believed that the key to understanding Jesus' life lay in linking it to specific dates in Jewish and Roman history. One of his most significant contributions was his Chronographiae, a work that sought to establish a timeline of biblical events, including the life of Christ. But how did Africanus connect the birth of Jesus to a specific day? It all began with his understanding of the Jewish concept of the integral age. In Jewish tradition, it was believed that great prophets were born and died on the same day. Africanus, drawing from this idea, concluded that the day of Jesus' conception was likely tied to a significant moment in the Jewish calendar. He connected this conception to the Jewish festival of Passover, which he believed corresponded with the time of Jesus' crucifixion. From there, he calculated that the date of Jesus' conception was likely around March 25th, which he identified as the Feast of the Annunciation, celebrating the moment the angel Gabriel announced to Mary that she would give birth to the Messiah. But what about December 25th? Here's where Africanus made a groundbreaking leap. Africanus, like many scholars of the time, believed in the idea of sacred symmetry. If Jesus' conception took place on March 25th, 9 months later would logically bring us to December 25th, the day he would have been born. This theory placed Jesus' birth on December 25th, a date that would soon become an integral part of the Christian calendar. Africanus's writings began to gain traction, and by the 4th century, the idea of December 25th as the birth of Christ had begun to take hold. But why December 25th specifically? This wasn't just a random date. In fact, it was tied to ancient Roman festivals already celebrated around the time of the winter solstice. In the pagan Roman world, December 25th also marked the celebration of Sol Invictus, the unconquered Sunday. This festival honored the rebirth of the sun, as it occurred near the winter solstice, the shortest day and longest night of the year, after which the days slowly grew longer. The symbolism of the sun's rebirth aligned perfectly with the Christian message of Jesus, the light of the world. By placing Jesus' birth on December 25th, the early Christians cleverly integrated their faith into an existing cultural celebration, thus allowing for a smoother transition and acceptance among the Roman population. In a way, they transformed an ancient pagan festival into one that celebrated the birth of the light of the world, Jesus Christ. But while the date of December 25th was chosen for symbolic reasons, the truth is, we don't have a concrete record of when Jesus was actually born. The Bible itself doesn't provide a specific date or time of the year. The Gospels of Matthew and Luke give us some details about the birth of Jesus, but they don't agree on everything. For example, the Bible doesn't mention a date or even a season. In fact, Luke talks about shepherds in the fields at night, which suggests that the birth might not have taken place during the winter months, as shepherds typically kept watch over their flocks in the warmer seasons. It was in 336 AD, during the reign of Emperor Constantine, the first Christian emperor of Rome, that December 25th was officially recognized as the feast day of Christ's birth. The Church had already begun celebrating Christmas on this date, but Constantine's official endorsement helped cement it in Christian tradition. Over time, this date would evolve into the global holiday we know today. However, this decision wasn't simple. The Julian calendar, introduced by Julius Caesar in 46 BCE, had inaccuracies that added about 11 minutes to each year. Over centuries, this small error shifted the calendar out of sync with the solar year. By the 16th century, spring was starting on March 11th instead of March 21st, throwing religious holidays like Easter and Christmas into confusion. So in 1582 AD, Pope Gregory XIII took action to fix the problem by introducing the Gregorian calendar, a more accurate system designed to realign the calendar with the Earth's orbit around the Sun. The Gregorian calendar corrected the Julian error by shortening the average year by 0.0075 days, making it more precise. This new system also included a shift in the number of days, an adjustment in which 10 days were simply skipped to restore the alignment. For example, in countries that adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1582, the date jumped from October 4th to October 15th. However, the Gregorian calendar wasn't immediately adopted worldwide. Catholic countries, like Spain, Italy, and France, swiftly made the change. But Protestant and Orthodox regions resisted, believing the papal reforms had no authority over them. Great Britain and its colonies, including what would become the United States, did not adopt the Gregorian calendar until 1752, more than 150 years after its introduction. Russia, on the other hand, didn't switch until after the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution. As a result, for centuries, Different regions of the world followed different systems of timekeeping. This sometimes led to confusion, especially when religious holidays were involved. Orthodox Christians, following the Julian calendar, continued to celebrate Christmas on January 7th. This divide still exists today. For example, countries like the United States, most of Europe, and Latin America celebrate Christmas on December 25th, following the Gregorian calendar. But in Ethiopia, Russia, and Serbia, where the Julian calendar is still observed in religious traditions, Christmas is celebrated on January 7th. It's the mid-1600s, and England is in turmoil. King Charles I has been overthrown, the monarchy dismantled, and Oliver Cromwell, a staunch Puritan, has taken control as Lord Protector. The Puritans, driven by a strict interpretation of the Bible, viewed Christmas not as a joyous holiday but as a sinful display of excess. For them, the feasting, drinking, and merrymaking associated with Christmas were blasphemous distractions from true Christian worship. The Puritan-controlled Parliament declared Christmas illegal. Celebrations were banned outright, and churches were forbidden from holding special Christmas services. Cromwell and his supporters wanted England to embrace a simpler, holier lifestyle, free from the corruption they believed Christmas represented. The monarchy's fall only deepened the divide. With King Charles I executed in 1649, England became a republic under Cromwell's iron rule. Town criers announced the Christmas ban in markets and villages, warning people that any attempt to celebrate would be met with punishment. The streets, once filled with carolers and cheerful gatherings, became eerily silent. Businesses were ordered to remain open on December 25th, treating it like any other day. Anyone caught closing their shop or taking a holiday risked harsh penalties. The Puritans set up patrols to ensure compliance, and reports of harassment and public shaming were common. In some cases, revelers caught in the act were publicly whipped. The crackdown wasn't limited to England. Across the Atlantic in the New World, present-day USA, the Puritans carried their disdain for Christmas with them. From 1659 to 1681, the Massachusetts Bay Colony officially banned the holiday, imposing a fine of 5 shillings on anyone caught celebrating. But resistance simmered beneath the surface. Some secretly gathered to sing carols or exchange small gifts, defying the Puritan authorities. In the countryside, the people found ways to keep their traditions alive, even in the face of persecution. The tide began to turn with the death of Cromwell in 1658. His son, Richard Cromwell, proved incapable of maintaining control, and within 2 years, the monarchy was restored under King Charles II in 1660. Known as the Merry Monarch, King Charles II reinstated Christmas and other banned festivities, declaring them vital to English culture. The streets of London erupted in joy as people once again decorated their homes, attended festive church services, and gathered with loved ones to feast and celebrate. In this journey through the layers of Christmas history, we've uncovered the Yule Festival's evergreen traditions that gave rise to the Christmas tree, traced the transformation of Saint Nicholas into the beloved Santa Claus, and explored how the Sol Invictus Festival of the unconquered sun shaped the choice of December 25th as Christmas Day. By understanding these origins, we can appreciate Christmas not just as a single story, but as a mosaic of human creativity and connection across time. Christmas reminds humanity of the enduring power of the light that shines even in the darkest of times. Remember to like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you be the first to know when our next deep dive into the mysteries of history and culture is released. Thank you for watching.